This episode of DDO Players News is brought to you by the fine folks over at the Skull Splitter Dice Company, skullsplitterdice.com. Check them out for all of your dice needs, metal dice, regular dice, and dice in between. They have it all at skullsplitterdice.com. Don't forget to check out the premium mystery blind bags as well. You never know what you're going to get, but it could be something great. Check it out at skullsplitterdice.com. And once again, thank you so much to the fine folks at the Skull Splitter Dice Company for sponsoring DDO Players News.
Good day, everyone. This is Polly Needles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at latest at DDO and on the tabletop. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Dracula.
Hey now, everybody. How's it going?
Hello there, Drac, and welcome to 300. And while I'm at it, let's welcome Cordovan, who is joining us for this celebration.
Hey, nice to be here. Congratulations on hitting 300.
Yes, and you're used to DDO podcasts that last a long time.
Yeah, but you beat me. I only did 192 personally. So.
Well, there you go. Achievement unlocked, apparently.
Okay. You didn't quite get to your 200. You got hired before you hit 200.
Yep, that's right.
Let's then head on to our show where we are going to begin with a little trip through history, right, Brack?
Yes, we are. The podcast itself, of course, this is the 300th episode. Well, technically we've done more than 300 episodes, but actual DDO Players News branded podcast, this is the 300th episode. We've done a couple like dev interviews and stuff like that we didn't call actual episodes. So we're calling this the 300th episode. The site itself, ddoplayers.com, was launched back early September of 2014. The first post went up September the 5th of 2014. And then the first episode of the podcast was October the 2nd, 2014. So a little less than 7 years ago, we started this podcast. But I implore you all, do not search out that episode because I listened to it last week and wow, is it bad. This podcast has changed so much since then, and the audio quality has gotten much better. My editing has gotten much better. Yeah, I listened to that, and I was like, oh, wow, I'm surprised people listen to this. But, maybe I'm just being hard on myself. But, yeah, 7 years ago, we started the podcast, and here we are hitting 300 episodes. And we were talking to Cordovan before the show. We are the second DDO podcast behind DDO Cast to actually hit 300 episodes, which is kind of a big deal, I think.
It is amazing. It's really just a sign of your dedication to the community and the fun you've been having, hopefully, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun. And I just want to take this time just for a second to thank everybody that listens to the show every week. If you've ever commented on the show, if you've ever sent me a message on Twitter or on the forums or whatever, thanks for that, because I know we are a really different type of DDO podcast. We tend to, skew towards the newer players because technically we're not new players, but we don't get as crunchy and as in-depth as what DDO Cast does. So I know we're a different kind of podcast, but people seem to love it. And
I'm finally the eternal noob.
There you go. So, yeah, like I said, we enjoy doing the show, and it seems like people enjoy the show, even with our weird little hybrid thing where we talk about DDO and then we talk about other stuff. It seems to work, and here we are 300 episodes in, and we still get downloads every week and views on YouTube, so it must be working, right?
300 episodes in and millions of dollars earned later.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, wait, hold on. Checking bank account. No. Okay. Maybe one day. Yeah.
This is not the day.
If people think podcasting makes you money, we can sit down and have a chat, and we'll talk about that. We do it for the love of the game and the love of podcasting, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, seriously, I just want to thank everybody for listening week in and week out. And anybody that has ever commented, sent an email, we appreciate it because it's nice to know people are actually out there listening. And I do want to thank, too, Standing Stone Games, because you guys have been great to us. You kind of welcomed us into the community, and it's just great. And the DDO community itself has been great to us. So just thanks all around. A big thank you to everybody that made this possible. And here's to 300 more.
Here's to 300 more. See you in another 7 years.
Well,
it'll only be 2028.
Right.
Should be good.
That's right. We'll be fine. Gosh, that seems so long ago. I mean, that seems so long and so far from now, though. But we'll see. We'll see.
2028. Yeah,
will we hit 600? That's the next goal, is 600.
Well, I would think the next big goal, though, would be 500.
Well, okay.
I mean, that's a nice roundish number.
Okay, so we'll shoot for 500. If we get 600, it's a bonus.
Okay.
There we go.
Anything else about the anniversary before we head on to game news?
Nope, I think that's it. Do stay tuned, though. I'm working on some giveaways to kind of help celebrate the 300th episode. So stay tuned to the podcast and to the site. More on that as I finalize some stuff. But we're definitely going to have some giveaways. We're going to have a couple that are going to be for the patrons only. And then we're just going to have some general ones as well. So stay tuned. Giveaways coming soon.
So, Pine Leaf and Draculetta, the dream team, have had their 300th show. What do we think about that?
It's amazing. Congratulations.
Well done, Jack. Try again. Hey, I sound like Drac. He does that sometimes. And that's not even after he's had
After he drinks the whiskey or whatever it is, the little liquid courage that he has with him in the show sometimes. We are so proud of you guys that you made it to your 300th show. You are great people. You have a great show, and you've been a great friend to us. I wish you 300 more.
Yeah. I love playing with you guys.
Yes.
And
even Pine Leaf.
that's a new thing for us.
It is.
We're having so much fun in Minecraft with you guys.
We're loving it. All right, guys, congratulations.
I hope you have 300 more.
Yay.
Then let's head into the game news, where we are going to begin with a preview for Update 51, which is about Epic Destinies. I heard Cordovan go over a few of these during his stream today.
Yeah, I actually started watching that when I got home, but then I ran out of time. So I'm glad Cordovan's here, because I didn't get a chance to get on Lamania. I know it's, as we record this, it's still up. When is it going to go down? Do you know?
It should be tomorrow. That'd be the Thursday afternoon.
Okay.
And then right in about an hour here, we're doing a dev event and such on there. So
That's if you're listening live. If you listen this when that comes out, you miss that. But yeah, basically Update 51 is all about the Epic Destiny revamp you guys are doing. You want to kind of give us the quick overview of that? Like I said, I didn't get a chance to check any of this out, so I know nothing.
yeah, sure. So Update 51 is going to be our Epic Destiny release, and that's actually the main bullet point of Update 51. We don't currently have new quests or anything set for Update 51. It's all Epic Destinies, along with some other work that we're doing. The content work will be coming currently later in the year. I think probably Update 52, which is roughly targeting something around December. On that, I don't know if I can actually spill what that's going to be, but it'll be a little bit bigger than what we usually do for kind of our small free December update. But many of those words will still remain accurate. How's that for being vague? But
That was pretty vague. Well done, sir.
But nonetheless, Update 51 is a huge update for us, because it's really changing the way Epic Destinies work. And Epic Destinies are the skill and point system that comprise a lot of your character development between levels 20 and 30. So, and then we're preparing it to actually go beyond 30 for in the future when we go raise the level cap. So this is really a ground-up rethink of how the Epic Destiny system should work in 2021. And we're making some big changes. However, Also, some of the trees will remain familiar to you. For this week's Lamania, we have 9 of the trees available for preview, and then we've got a second Lamania planned for, I don't know if it's going to be next week or the week after, something like that, and that should be the remainder of the Epic Destiny trees, along with polish on this first round. And then we'll kind of see where the update 51 release date falls after that. But it's really going to be a top-down rethink of how the Epic Destiny system works. I guess why don't we just stop there, and before I start going into too much about how it works.
Sure.
So there isn't going to be much in this one for people like me who just don't do things past 20.
This one is focused on Epic Destinies, but I would say that there are some other things that will be relevant to you. We are working on, some game performance work in there, and we've got some kind of quality of life things that are going to be in there. So there will be some. But yes, if what you're looking for is new quests, then no, there really probably won't be something for you.
So before we kind of get into the meat of what you guys are doing, can you kind of explain how this came about? What was the catalyst to say, okay, yeah, let's do this Epic Destiny overhaul, and let's do it now. Now is the time to do it.
The why do it now really has a lot to do with the timing being right to prepare for our future level cap increase. We want to raise the level cap. We've been saying that for a while now, almost a couple of years. And the work that's being done with Epic Destiny systems will not only improve the level 20 to 30 experience, but it'll also prepare us to go beyond level 30. So that's part of the big impetus of why we're doing it. The other one is really that the Epic Destiny system itself came out pretty long time ago now, and has a lot of good parts to it, but over the years, as with any kind of complex MMO system, you get new people involved and new ideas, and the game itself changes quite a bit, between now and then. And so we've long wanted to do work on Epic Destinies, and everything just kind of combined to make it, this is the year we're going to do it, and this is the work we're going to do, which is pretty extensive.
Yeah, looking over the Lamania notes, pretty extensive is kind of a short way of saying what you're doing, because, yeah, this is like, when you say you are totally overhauling this, you are really digging into Epic Destinies and making some changes.
I just dropped, for those happening to listen to this live, which all of you should be, over on the Mixlr, mixlr.com/the-players-alliance. I just dropped a link in the chat to Lamania. That's for the Epic Destiny overview. That'll kind of, if you want to follow along with what we're talking about here a little bit. I would say in general, though, I'm going to try to keep it not too complex and not get too much into the weeds to start with here. I think one of the easier ways to think about what we're doing with the Epic Destiny system is we're taking the parts that players and us have found generally work quite well with the enhancement system that players are used to from levels 1 to 20, and expanding on that in levels 20 to 30 to both delve into your class role and allow you to take your character development to new places. One of the big things that's changing is that under the old system, there were largely 4 bubbles, and each bubble had 3 Epic Destinies associated with it. And we had a system where you would be in one Epic Destiny, locked into that Epic Destiny, whether you wanted to be in that Epic Destiny ultimately or not. By questing, you would earn XP and kind of travel your way around the map of the Epic Destiny system, unlocking new Epic Destinies and what have you. And as you did that, you would get a few powers from those old Epic Destinies and slot them in as what were called twists of fate. So largely you'd be focused on one role, and then you'd have the opportunity to smatter a few abilities from off Destinies that you could use during your questing. But that's always led to the system where you would play the Destiny you wanted to play, but you also needed to level up everything else, generally. And what that meant is you spent a lot of time in the epic levels really being in what are called off Destinies, Destinies that maybe didn't make the most sense for your character, but you did it anyway because you felt you had to, because you wanted to unlock the stuff. Well, we're doing away with all of that. And how it's going to work is much more aligned with what you're used to with the enhancement system. You'll have 3 chosen Epic Destinies of your choice, and you wanted to worry about what sphere it's in, or whether it's arcane, martial, divine, what have you, you can just pick 3, and then you can spend points into all 3 of them at the same time, similar to what you do right now with enhancements. And also similar to enhancements, if you want to cap one of them out, you're not really going to be capping out the other ones, right? The further up the tree you go into one, the less you're going to have to spend in the other epic destinies. But you will have a lot to spend, and you'll be able to dip into really any 3 trees that you want to, and you can change them up essentially at any time. There's a small coin cost if you want to respec a tree, just like enhancements, or you can use astral shards if for whatever reason you don't have coin. But for the most part, you're going to have a lot more choice here. And it's going to work somewhat similarly to what you're used to with enhancements. You'll spend into them, you'll get benefits, you'll go up the tiers. These benefits will have action point spend requirements in some cases. You know, you will have at least had to spend 5 points in a tree to unlock this tier. And in some cases, the higher tiers will be unlocked at later levels, rather than the old system where it was really front-loaded with a ton of kind of grindy work. But then you could spend it all right away at level 20. And although that made you very powerful at level 20, it also made balance throughout 20 to 30 pretty difficult, and didn't really give you necessarily a lot of character growth between level 20 and 30. So what this is going to allow you to do is not only have a lot more choice, but it's going to make more sense as a progression system, and you'll just have more to do as you level up.
I am so excited about this because I, for one, have had that point in when I've been doing my epic destinies where I got stuck with one that I really didn't want to do, but I had to do it. So I am so excited about these changes that you guys are doing.
Are you saying your rogue didn't need to be in Magister?
That's exactly what I'm saying. All too well, that is what I'm saying.
So the way you're going to get into the new epic destinies is by speaking to an NPC when you reach level 20. That NPC is the Fate Spinner. The Fate Spinner can be found in a whole bunch of different places, up to and including like the marketplace. And you'll speak to them and be teleported to a place called the Junction of the Spheres. You'll speak to various NPCs to pick up the epic destinies that you want. There's a one-time thing that you're just going to want to go across the board and pick up every one of the epic destinies to unlock it. And the reason for is that by unlocking the epic destinies permanently, you'll not only get access to spend into those epic destinies, but you'll get the initial pile of points that you'll be using to spend into the destiny as well. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different from if you're just reaching level 20 to the first time, as opposed to someone who's level 30 with a lot of epic past lives. And I can get more into that in a little bit. But for the most part, you'll be earning points as you level up, and you'll be earning points through like Tomes of Fate, which already exist, and some other things as well, just unlocking the trees. And then you'll be able to spend into that. So the current maximum Fate points you'll have will be 55. That's 36 from unlocking all the trees, 16 from your epic past lives, and then 3 from a Tome of Fate. That means you'll start with up to 18 permanent destiny points at level 20. How it works essentially is every 3 fate points is 1 epic destiny, and you earn that stuff as you level up. There's no more twists of fate at all, but your fate points will have a use because it will contribute to that permanent destiny. So assuming you've never been in epic levels before, when you hit level 20, you'll talk to the Fate Spinner, you'll go to the new Junction of the Spheres, you'll talk to the NPCs, pick up the epic destinies, and I'm trying to see if I can actually find the number here. Well, you'll have a bunch of points to spend. So now, how are we dealing with reincarnation then? That's a big system.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, how does that fall into all of this?
All right, so the first thing you need to know is that you don't have to worry about karma. Karma XP was a system under the old system where you would max out Karma XP, and then you'd cash in that Karma XP to Epic Reincarnate. Instead, once you hit level 30, you can Epic Reincarnate. We no longer have essentially 3 separate XP tracks happening between level 20 and 30. It's just the one. And when you hit level 30, you'll be able to Epic Reincarnate. Epic Completionist will grant you a flat +1 Epic Destiny point. You can earn additional copies of Epic Completionist every 12 Epic Past Lives you earn thereafter. So if you're someone like Pine Leaf, I'm sure, with 24 Epic Past Lives. But anyway, you will earn, you can have up to 4 copies of Epic Completionist with 4 permanent Destiny points. But in general, it's going to be much, much easier. You'll just Epic Reincarnate and boom, there you are. You're not required to level up a Destiny. You don't earn XP for a Destiny. You're just earning XP on your character. You don't need to unlock new trees or reincarnate to do any of the unlocks for your Epic Destinies. The base 12 Destinies are just unlocked, like I said, through a little dialogue. It's sort of a tutorial to help you understand the system, and you no longer need karma at all. So how are we going to handle feats, though? There's a bunch of kind of feats and all that as well. So what we're doing is we're pulling some of the things that players had been spending into in their Epic Destinies. Things like to get +1 wisdom, for example, or a few things that just didn't make sense in terms of a role-based thing. And we're rolling that into the overall feat flow that you get when you level up. So you'll have the entire Epic Destiny tree system unlocked at level 20, and you'll be able to unlock tiers, or spend into tiers 1 and 2. At level 21, you'll get your first epic feat. Level 22, you'll get an Epic Destiny feat. Level 23, you'll be able to unlock Tier 3 in Epic Destinies and go to your second core of Epic Destinies. Level 24, you'll get your second epic feat, and so on and so forth. And we've got a chart kind of how that all works. But in general, we're moving the Destiny feat levels to follow directly after epic feat levels. So you'll get an epic feat level 1 level, you'll get a Destiny feat level the next time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at that chart, and I'll have this on the YouTube version. I will definitely have this on the screen while we're talking about this, and then I'll have it linked in the show notes so you can find this.
I would also say that the epic feats are going to be changing a little bit as well to give you +3 melee and ranged power, +6 universal spell power, and a -1% to the spell point cost of your spells. It's also going to provide 1 spell cast level with all casting classes for every 2 times it's applied. So when you hit level 30, you'll have a total of +5 to your spell cast level for all of your casting classes. And I don't know that I'd really want to get too much into the feats here. That seems a little crunchy. But you can look over on the Lamania forums if you want to.
Yeah, and I said I'll link all this in the show notes for this episode, so you'll be able to find all of this. There is, as Cordovan said, there is discussions over on Lamania for all this. We will definitely link this. And I do know you want to touch briefly on how you are handling the Twist of Fate now, because those are going away with this new system.
Yeah, so the way the Twist of Fates are reflected is ultimately in the Epic Destiny points that you will have to spend. Instead of unlocking Twists of Fate, you will be earning Destiny points, essentially, and you'll be able to spend that into 3 active trees at a time.
Okay. Oh, this sounds so much better. I just can't imagine the work that went into this.
It has been, and that's really why Update 51 is focused on Epic Destinies, because the amount of work that involved, not just from, say, the systems team, but really the entire team, really necessitated that this be its own update if we wanted to get it done. And so that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, I can definitely believe that.
I would also kind of point, for those who are less familiar with it, that your Epic Destinies are going to have things called mantles, strikes, and moments. These are sort of powerful abilities, stances, and things that you'll see scattered throughout the different trees. But in general, the lower tiers of each destiny will give you something called a mantle. It's a persistent toggle. You can only have 1 mantle active at a time, but you can kind of swap which mantle is active between your 3 trees, essentially, as you want to. And each of those things is going to really provide a permanent benefit for as long as you have it toggled on. The strikes are scattered throughout the trees as well. They all share a cooldown, but you can have more than one and spend it as you want to. And they're kind of what you think. An epic strike is going to be something that really gives you a bang boost of power at a certain time which you might need it, whether it's more damage, more spell power, what have you, more special attacks maybe, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then at the tier 5 of each tree, we have what's called an epic moment. And an epic moment is really that super powerful ability, significant amount of end game power. You're probably not going to be able to use it about once every 5 minutes due to balance reasons. But the idea is each one of those is going to break a fundamental rule of DDO for its duration. So, for example, the Shadow form epic moment is called Shadow Mastery, and it lets you be stealth regardless of what you're doing. So you can be stealth while whacking on someone with a weapon, for example. Not for a long time necessarily, and only maybe once every 5 minutes, but you will be able to do it. And it's these epic moments that are really the powerful abilities at the top end of the tree at level 30.
But Jack will kill 3 people in that time frame.
I would just say that I say the top end of the tree, though, I say the top end of the tree at level 30 because this system is meant to scale beyond as well. One of the reasons we're redoing the system is it didn't really work beyond its original bounds, whereas this allows us to add to it, additively in a way that we don't have to replace sort of your system at level 30.
Right. And then, of course, that epic, let's see, that was the epic moment. That is in tier 5, so you have to work to get that. But once you get that, it's going to be worth it.
That's the idea.
A lot of work to get there.
I would say we're going to start with 12 epic destinies, which is what we have right now. Mm-hmm. Although we're yeeting out Magister and replacing it with Magus of the Eclipse. Eventually, though, we want to get up to 15. Each tree loosely corresponding to a heroic class. And then, even in the future beyond that, there's nothing stopping us from going beyond 15 if we want to. Unlike the old system where you were kind of stuck on a map where it's like you could add extra spaces, but it would be weird, right?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask. This will make it so you could eventually add more if you would want or if you would think it would be necessary to.
I don't know that we really need to get. I mean, I think that's really the overview of it.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. I didn't want to get like real crunchy in it. And what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to look. Before this episode post, I'm going to look to see, I'm sure like Stream Tom will have videos up. Probably Patrick over at DDO Cast will probably have some videos up. So I'm going to link all that, and I'll link your weekly Wednesday live stream as well in there because you kind of went over it there as well. So I'll link all those videos over in the show notes so you can get a more in-depth look at it from, like I said, from Patrick, Stream Tom. Voodoo Spice, I'm sure, is probably going to make some videos on it as well, too. So I will get some videos linked over in the show notes so you can get a more in-depth look at it. But that was kind of perfect. I just want to kind of like an overview of somebody that actually knew what it was because I didn't get a chance to look at any of this. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that little overview for us.
I actually did have one more piece I can bring up here, which is that we want to reward the experience of those who have maxed out all their epic destinies over time. You went through all that work. And we want to just not make you feel that was put to waste. So we have an exclusive kind of cosmetic cloak that's going to be debuting here with Update 51. If you have all of your epic destinies matched, and I've looked up the answers since the live stream today, so I actually have the answer for you. If all of your epic destinies are maxed out, that means you've got all 5, little pips to the right of each epic destiny that you've been through. You'll speak to an NPC, and you're going to get a cloak. A special cloak that really features the old Epic Destiny map as the background.
Oh, nice.
So that might lead a few people to want to work on some of those Epic Destinies prior to Update 51. If you're pretty close, for example, if you only have a couple trees yet to max out, you might want to do that because they're going to get some cool stuff for it. Well, one cool thing, and that being a cloak.
I just wonder how many people, I know there's people that have them all maxed now, but
I do.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wonder how many people would have them all maxed out.
Well, the nice thing about the reason we chose that, and again, I was a little confused at the show because I wasn't prepared to answer the question, but the reason we went with the Epic Destinies maxed out is that under the old system, you cashed in your old Karma XP to Epic Reincarnate. And that would mean that you wouldn't necessarily, you could potentially lose it right? You could be
Right.
like, well, I already did that, but I epic reincarnated and now I'm stuck. No, as long as you've maxed out all your epic destinies, you'll be fine.
Nice. All right. So I look forward to seeing other people running around with those cloaks because it won't be me. Sadly.
With that out of the way, let's head into DDO Chronicle issue 441. And guess this is from Saltmarsh, I would assume.
I'm going to say it looks Saltmarshish. Kind of looks like Evening Star a little bit too, but where is the Chronicle cover from this week?
Yeah, that's Saltmarsh.
So I thought it was Saltmarsh.
In general, I get a batch of screenshots, for each release, and I try to cycle them all through for the Chronicle.
Yeah, that's what we kind of figured. And I thought that's, I think, out when you first go out into the
town.
Yeah,
it's basically the town.
Town itself. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was.
Now, was there ever a good description of Saltmarsh? Because the module I'm familiar with Saltmarsh was the original version, and they seem to be rather vague on what Saltmarsh was like in that particular module.
I think that's true. Although, it's a very classic module, so I don't want to say anything too bad about it. But there was also a lot developed under 5th edition for it as well.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
The Ghost of Saltmarsh 5th edition kind of expanded on a little bit.
Right. So the description has grown over the years.
Yes, it has.
Well, yeah. Back in the early days, of course, they wanted, I think, to leave as much room for the GM to do what they wanted. So
exactly,
a couple of things. That the fact that the modules were designed to be low cost and small relative to today. Today we have these big deluxe volumes where you could put in very deluxe maps.
Right, exactly. So there you go. Saltmarsh on the DDO Chronicle cover this week. In the fan site news section. Actually, before we do that, let's talk a little bit about you guys did the first content creator preview just yesterday, or Monday, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Which let content creators kind of get into Lamania a couple days early to kind of get a head start on stuff. How'd that go for being the first one?
I think it went really, really well. We've heard a lot of feedback from the wiki folks, from a couple of guide writers, a couple of people who work on, say, like Epic Destiny apps, websites where you can kind of plan out your Epic Destinies and everything.
Right, yeah.
We heard a lot from the Twitch streamers, YouTube makers, any content creator in general. And this is really a response to a request we've had for years, which is like, can I just get in a little bit early? I need the extra time. It benefits us a little bit to get a little hype out there on kind of live streams and what have you.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's
definitely.
really about the recognition that all the people in the community making stuff for the game spend actual time doing this. And it's good to give them an opportunity to sort of sit down and work through some of this before we just sort of shove it at everybody. Surprise, we're up on Lamania, right? And so we were finally able to get kind of an access token that we can apply to certain people's accounts and then take it off at the end of the preview. And so if you're a content creator out there, get in touch with me if you think this would be interesting. The criteria is pretty low. It basically, if you can benefit, if you have like a content creation benefit for getting in, a day early, then you're almost certainly qualified. So just hit me up and we'll make sure that we get you in for future previews. I don't think we're going to be doing this for every preview, but we want to do it for all the biggies.
Right. Well, I mean, and that makes sense too, like especially for stuff like this, or I would assume for the next expansion or whatever too, you would probably do one for that. So people could get a jump on making like guides per quest or stuff like that as well too, if I'm thinking how you guys are thinking about it.
Yeah. Yep, I would think so. And especially when it came to Epic Destinies, it's such a big system.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then on the other game side, we had a very similar large kind of system that debuted this as well with their legendary items. But for these kind of previews in particular, it really is good to be able to let people in a little bit early, sit down with them if we need to, and just kind of get the word out about this stuff. And then frankly, it gets us better feedback. Because then the people who are going on to Lamania don't have to necessarily onboard themselves to the basics. They can get the basics ahead of time, or at least have something relatively educated to read from other players and what have you, and be able to offer more granular feedback in a way that's good for us.
So excellent. So yeah, as Cordovan said, if you're a content creator, just get in touch with him, and he will definitely get you on that list for the next time they do this. We'll take a look at our fan sites news section now of the Chronicle. DDO Cast is continuing reviewing Saltmarsh. Get over to ddocast.com and get the latest episode from Patrick and his guest. We survived Gen Con. More on that in a bit.
Sure, I'm glad that's accurate. Wow,
Yes.
would I have been embarrassed?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, we almost survived Gen Con. Again, more on that in a bit. DDO stream, of course, is your first stop to find DDO over on Twitch. Brighter days ahead is questing in Thunderhome. Doug Glendower is sending a postcard from Orion, and DDO PL is gifted over on Twitch as well. Don't forget about Samus Garobo. He's running a Melee Sork. Detty TB is returning for some Reaper, and Skull Priest 1210 levels in Epics. Lots of people over on YouTube making videos as well. Buban Craig does a speed one. Strim Tom has the best Falconer you haven't played, and Foji Video is taking a risky swim over on YouTube.
Where do you come up for your little snippets that you post on the fan site news?
I usually, if they don't give me something in their title that I can kind of riff off of, ideally each video is going to give me a little bit of idea of what they're actually doing. But a lot of times, sometimes that isn't included. So I'll watch, 5-10 minutes of the video and just kind of get a sense of what was the main thing they did. And then I just sort of riff on it. That's all there is to it.
And that's got to be hard too, because you have to do that every week for all these Twitch streams and YouTubes and podcasts, and
yes,
so I can imagine how hard that is. And speaking of hard, you have to come up with a Chronicle comment every week as well. Why doesn't Eberron have bicycles? This is a really good question this week, actually.
I'm just wondering, in Eberron, how long would it be if someone did invent a bicycle? How long would it be after that point between someone either A, found some sort of steampunk device to hook up to it, or B, cast an enchantment on it?
Yeah,
2.3
it'd almost
seconds.
certainly be done. Yeah, they power it with an air elemental at the very least.
Yeah, right. Or put it right. You'll have scooters roaming all over the place before anyone figured out what a bicycle was.
So my answer to this is it really has to do with the, we don't think about it just because we're human, we're on Earth, it really hasn't come up that much. But in actuality, in Eberron, because they have 13 moons, gravity is all over the place. So you need at least 3 wheels in order to stay upright.
Well, yes. I'm just trying to figure out how the planet holds together with 13 moons, but okay.
Ask Keith Baker. He can tell you. He came up with
Okay.
it. But yeah, I was trying to think of an answer for this. And yeah, I was going to say because of the 13 moons and the gravity, they just wouldn't work. But I didn't think about if you just added extra tire, it would probably help that. You would counteract the gravity. So there you have it. Rounding out the Chronicle this week, the screenshot of the week. Kira is facing no fear while facing the demons of Shavarath. That is the 524th DDO screenshot of the week. I love the screenshot. That I am jealous of some of the screenshots people take, because I try to take screenshots and mine never come out as epic as the ones that are always the screenshot of the week, which I can see why they won, because they're always epic screenshots. You can check out the entire gallery over on DDO.com of the screenshots. And don't forget to submit your screenshot as well. See if you're picked for screenshot of the week.
And you get 500 DDO points when you do.
See, that's way worth it right there then.
With the news from the game, let's have a look on the tabletop. where I believe Drac survived to Gen Con.
I did. Thankfully, it was hit or touch and go for a while. No, actually, Gen Con was pretty amazing for being the weird COVID year of Gen Con. I enjoyed myself way more than I thought I was going to. It wasn't quite as weird as I thought it was going to be. It was a lot different because, of course, you had to wear a mask. But I must say, tabletop gamers, an amazing group of people. I didn't see hardly anybody not obeying by the whole mask wearing rule. There was a few people, but Gen Con staff were right there to correct it as soon as they saw it. But 99.9% of the people wore the mask the whole time. They wore it correctly. We were just all happy to be gaming together and to be a Gen Con together and not online. So kudos to everybody that attended Gen Con and to Gen Con itself for actually being able to get this put on this year and put on pretty safely too, I think, because they spaced you out at game tables and everything as much as they could. You could definitely tell the crowds were smaller. The major thing was you could actually get around the vendor hall without having a traffic jam.
I didn't go this year, just to be fair, but I was drooling over and jealous over all the pics on Twitter. And like I saw a pic early on, like the very first day, where there was kind of a crowded hallway right before they opened the exhibit hall for the very first time. And that picture ended up kind of getting a little bit of criticism of, oh my God, there's too many people.
Yeah.
But then it looks like not long after, pretty much throughout the rest of the week, people were sharing pictures of really people pretty spread out.
Yeah,
it really wasn't that crazy. It didn't seem like it was that.
No, and that picture kind of, like you said, got some traction on various sites, and people were a little critical of that. That was not how Gen Con was this year, and that was just at one door. At the door I was at, I will have to put. I did take a picture. I can't remember if I actually tweeted the picture or not, but I'll put it in the show notes. It was really spread out for when they opened the vendor hall, and that little pile up that was right there dispersed really quickly once you got into the vendor hall. So overall, that was the only kind of hiccup, I think, with social distancing, or kind of a lot of people together. And yeah, like I said, that kind of made the rounds on a couple different sites, and I think it kind of got blown out of proportion. It wasn't that bad.
Even
Actually,
then, I noticed a lot of people were wearing. I didn't really see a lot of unmasked in that crowd.
Right?
Even
No,
if they were shoulder to shoulder. They were almost universally masked.
No, like I said, that was like, and Gen Con staff were right on it. If like you didn't have your mask up over your nose, I mean, they just politely ask you to pull it up above your nose. If you didn't, I didn't see anybody not wear a mask at all. The kind of funny, the only time on Sunday I saw a bunch of people not wearing masks, but that's because there was a Colts game and people were walking through the convention center to get to Lucas Oil. All of the football people didn't have masks on. They were the only people that weren't masked.
I have to admit, seeing the pictures from the exhibit hall and the relatively, spaciousness of it, I was like, that's a dream come true.
It was amazing. I'm like, I kind of miss having the big spectacle at Gen Con, but man, it was really nice. And of course, there was a lot of space in the vendor hall, and the vendors were kind of spaced out a little bit. And there was some vendors that didn't show up or didn't come then, so there was even more space. And there was like a bunch of spaces where they just had open, so you could just walk and stand for a second if you needed to. Like if there was a couple times during the 4 days to where the vendor hall did get kind of a little traffic jammy like it usually does, but there was enough spaces to where you could go and just stand off to the side for a second, and that dispersed really quickly, and then you could just go right on to where you were going to go. So yeah, it was different in that aspect.
Okay. Now, I noticed that you don't sound like you've got Gen Con crud or anything like that.
No, thankfully, knock on wood, not so far, which I kind of think the whole mask and sanitizing of hands helped that too. So we'll see. But yeah, there was plenty of hand sanitizer stations around. They had them like everywhere in the convention center. So, and I tried to use those a lot, especially like if I would have to, a lot of the doors open automatically for you, but if they didn't, if I would have to touch a door, I would just sanitize my hands right after I got done doing that. So.
How is the rest of the downtown area? Because, Gen Con is also all the other stuff downtown.
Right. There was a few of the restaurants were closed, but mainly everything was open, and they were just like super, super excited for us to be there. You could tell when you would go into any of the restaurants or the bars, they were like, oh my God, I'm so glad to have you back. They were so happy to see us back. And Gen Con did put out a little press release that said they're estimating that it was, so let's see if I can find it now.
I saw 35,000 somewhere.
Yeah. The crowd itself was 35,000. Actually, at Gen Con, there was 320 exhibitors there. 200 new games were released. They did 6,500 ticketed events, and between Gen Con Online and the pop-up Gen Con at retail stores, they said about 50,000 people total did partake.
And that's about what they usually see, is in the 50,000-ish range, I think.
Yeah, it's usually between, it depends on the year, but 2019 was 75,000. So, and then the 50th anniversary was almost 78. So yeah.
Okay, that's even bigger than I thought.
Yeah, it's every year it keeps getting bigger. but yeah, that the main difference was the vendor hall. It was really noticeable in there, but it was a good noticeable too, though. And of course, they did say this was a major boon for downtown, like hotels, restaurants, stuff like that. They're still waiting for Visit Indy to get them like an estimate of how much was made during the 4 days. But downtown needed it, so I was happy to see that people were spending in restaurants or whatever. And that was another thing with the crowds being a little lower this year. There was hardly any waits at any of the restaurants and bars I went to.
Oh my God, so you're basically saying it was the best year to go.
It was. It actually was. Because it's like my friend and I went into, well, it used to be the Ram. It's not the Ram anymore. It's a restaurant and bar and brewery called Goodwood now. They moved into the space that the Ram was in. We went there like 3 times. Didn't have a wait any time that we went there. And then as we were leaving, there was a wait, but I heard the hostess tell the person it was going to be like a 15-minute wait. And I'm like, oh my God, this is unheard of for Gen Con. Even at the food trucks, there weren't that bad of a line for food trucks. So having the lower population of Gen Con there kind of helped a little bit with that aspect too. So yeah. But look for all of our videos to be coming up soon. I have to get them all together. I did a lot of interviews with a lot of different companies. I actually talked to some new companies that we've never talked to before. So look for all those videos coming soon. Also going to have some reviews and unboxings videos coming as well, because I got a lot of games from a lot of publishers while I was there. So lots of good stuff coming to the site soon.
Then let's have a look at one of the new games. And that's Funko Games announces the Warriors come out and play a new fighting board game.
Okay, I've been waiting all day to talk about this because I want to know, Pine Leaf, do you know what the Warriors movie is?
No.
That's what I thought. I didn't figure yet. I knew you would, but I knew Pine Leaf wouldn't. Yeah, Funko Games, they have announced The Warriors Come Out to Play. This is a fighting board game. It's going to be in retail Q1 of 2022. The roughest and toughest gangs of New York have assembled at a midnight summit when Cyrus, the leader of the powerful Gramercy Rips, is murdered. Everybody is wrongly thinking you, the Warriors, are to blame for this murder, which means every gang in the city is gunning for you as you try to make your way back to your home turf of Coney Island. This is a rowdy, cooperative strategy game. You're going to need to watch each other's backs to navigate the dangerous streets and subways of New York, dodge the rival gangs, maintain your rep, make it back to Coney Island, and show the Gramercy Rips that you have been framed, and you prove the Warriors are not just good, but are the best of the best. And that would all make sense if you've seen the movie. So your homework, Pine Leaf, is to watch the movie.
So it's come out to play instead of come out and slay.
Right. Yes. Yeah. If you seen the movie, that makes sense because they say in the movie a lot. They're like, the Warriors come out and play. Watch the movie, finally, if you'll understand.
That doesn't sound like my type of movie.
Well, no, it's not, but watch it anyway. It's a great movie. It's like one of those cult classic movies that I think everybody has to see. I can't believe you haven't seen it. I was about to say I can't believe you haven't seen it, but I can believe that you haven't seen it. Your lack of movie knowledge is well known at this point on the podcast, so we'll just we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it is going to include sculptured miniatures of the leaders of the most recognizable gang of 8 warriors, so you can choose to play your favorite warrior. Also original illustrations and designed that are inspired by the 1970s New York of the Warriors movie. It's going to retail for $24.99. It's going to go straight to retail, coming from Funko Games, Q1 2022.
Oh,
and I got
this isn't going to be using those Funko figures.
No.
Okay.
This is not part of the Funko strategy game. So yeah, no,
okay.
This is a total miniatures fighting board game. I got a chance to look at it, a little bit of Gen Con. It looks really good. If you're familiar with the movie, you're going to be right at home here. So I'm kind of excited about this one.
It seems like we're still very much in the heart of games associated with entertainment IPs.
Yes, that was another big theme of Gen Con. There was a lot of entertainment IP games that have been announced, have already been announced, and they kind of had the first look of them there. So yeah, that's the big thing. And one thing about, I think, the tabletop industry as a whole, we're getting much, much better at doing IP games.
That's an understatement.
When IP games first came out, they were horrid, but we're getting really good. And there's 3 or 4 companies that are really, really good at taking IPs and making good games out of them, which Funko Games is one of those companies. So I'm thinking they're going to do a good job with the Warriors, but I guess time will tell. Q1 2022, we'll see, but I'm kind of thinking one's going to be pretty good.
They also announced a Jurassic World Legacy game.
Yes, they did. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't actually get a chance to make a post about that. I'm going to make a post about on the site over that. But yeah, they didn't say much about that other than, yeah, it's going to be a legacy game set in the Jurassic universe, and it's called Jurassic World. That's really all they said. I tried to talk to them a little bit about it, but they're pretty much staying mum about that right now. They just said stay tuned for more information.
What? An Allosaurus is going to eat your dinosaur, so you have to rip up the card?
See, I don't know. Maybe
the collector's edition comes with real dinosaur DNA.
Yeah, exactly. Clone your own dinosaurs in the cupboard of your own home, yeah.
Oh, my.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Let's go and see what's on the screen. where Blood Rain Revamped is coming to consoles and to Switch.
Shut up and take my money, as I always say. Yes, this is coming from Ziggurat Interactive. They pretty much are the premier publisher right now of doing retro and modern games. They take all the old retro games and they kind of modernize them. So they did announce this fall they're going to do the revamped, tongue-in-cheek, meant there, edition of Blood Rain and Blood Rain 2. It's going to be out on Xbox One, PS4, and the Nintendo Switch. They did announce there's going to be an exclusive physical release on the Switch and the PS4. That is going to be done through Limited Run Games. In addition to that, the games will be playable on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S through the backwards compatibility. It shocked me they weren't actually doing versions for those two consoles, though. They're doing the last gen, quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes right now that you can't see, last gen Xbox One and PS4. But the PS5 and Xbox X and S do have backwards compatibility, so you can play them on there day one. These are going to be updated versions. They're going to support higher display resolutions up to 4K, upscaled cinematic videos, improvements to the lighting at the engine level, plus fully reprocessed lighting data. That sounds like a lot of PR speak, but it's supposed to look really good. Engine improvements to support uncompressed original textures. I can speak, really, I can. Improvements to effects such as reflections, water, fog, and shadows. And Blood Rain's voiced audio is going to be localized in text form, at least, for English, French, Italian, Japanese, Russian, and Spanish. She's only going to speak English, but they are going to localize the subtitle text for those languages. So look for this coming out early 2022, and more information on the physical limited run games version of the physical release coming soon. I'll be sure to post about it once I get more information about it. But I loved Blood Rain on the original Xbox. That's where I played it. I played Blood Rain and Blood Rain 2 on both of those, so I'm kind of excited about this. If you're not kind of familiar with Blood Rain, it's a third-person horror action series game. Blood Rain is a half vampire, and she is traveling to foil the Nazi plans. The Nazis kind of created her, and she basically became aware of what was going on. So she is going to take out the Nazis, trying to stop their plans. And along the way, the story unfolds. I won't spoil anything, but if you're into that type of supernatural horror / alternate history, you'll love Blood Rain.
There's also been a whole series of movies of
questionable quality.
Yeah, I wasn't going to be too mean. I was going to say exceptional B grade quality.
That's
grade quality.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah, I was so looking forward to that movie that it came out, and I'm like, what the heck?
They're super fun to watch if you're into bad movies.
They are. Yes, they are. Like you said, exceptional B grade movie quality is the best way to describe those movies. And I don't think I've ever seen the second one. I forgot there was a second one. I tried to wipe that from my memory. That's how bad it was. But yes, if you like B movies, check it out, because they're horribly good but bad.
Let's then head into our week in gaming. Drac, what were you up to?
I was up to Gen Con. That's what I was up to.
Oh, I guess you were up to Gen Con. Very
right.
well.
So that's, I played some games at Gen Con. I demoed quite a bit of games. You'll see some of that in the videos that we're going to release. So yeah, basically Gen Con was my week in gaming. I did Gen Con this week. So there you go. So what about you, Pineley?
Right. My Gnome Artificer, I finished Salt Marsh, then I headed back to Eberron, where I found some lost gatekeepers. And then I headed into the Feywild because I needed to find those hags and teach them a lesson for what they did to me over with that incident with the gatekeepers. So I'm just getting started on in the Feywild in there. And also I played a huge amount of tabletop. Probably the highlight on the tabletop is I played several rounds of Eon's End The New Age. So there's a lot of other tabletop happening on the background on top of that. And Cordovan, did you do anything nice over gaming?
Yeah, I've actually been playing quite a bit of DDO over the weekend. I was playing Crystal Cove with some guildies, and so that went this year with Crystal Cove. It is back through the weekend here. And so I just was playing some Crystal Cove in general. The other piece I've been doing is I've been working to get my teenager on Thelanis up to level 20 to reincarnate them. My main mock duck is currently level 16, 17, something like that. But I actually haven't played an Inquisitive on live yet. I've been meaning to do that. So I'm going to TR that person and make him an Inquisitive, I think. And then otherwise, every now and then, I like to, for my own memory and my own kind of work knowledge and what have you, I like to go and run like everything we've done up to, from a certain point onward, to just refamiliarize myself with the quests, the locations, the names, all that stuff. I mean, you'd think that you can remember all this stuff, but man, it's easy to get overwhelmed and lost on it if you don't kind of reinforce it. So one of the things I've actually been doing is working to max out those last couple of Epic Destiny trees. And I started with Ravenloft, all the way back to Ravenloft. And I basically am in the process of running all the content we've released since Ravenloft on that character to refamiliarize myself with them. So those are really the two main things I've been doing on DDO.
You're working on Epic Destiny trees when we're about to revamp the system?
I want that cloak. I'm so close.
I'm gonna say, I think he wants the cloak.
Okay.
It's within his grasp, I can tell.
The cloak.
Yeah, so that's really what I've been doing on DDO. And then I've been playing the other game as well. And then when not playing DDO or that, just on my own, I was actually one of the first people in the world to get the new Atari VCS that got released.
I was gonna ask you. I was gonna add that to the on the screen section so we could talk about that, because I'm super jelly that you have
I
that.
got it around Christmas, and it didn't even release until mid-June. And so I was literally one of the first people to have my hands on it. And so a bunch of people from the wiki, the Atari VCS wikis and that, wanted to hit me up for information and all that sort of thing. So I made my own YouTube channel on it, and I've just been kind of doing game videos and things like that on that. So when I'm not playing DDO or Lotro, that's pretty much what I'm doing, is playing on the VCS and checking all that stuff out.
So overall, just your quick opinions of the system, yay or nay?
For me, it's a big yay. If you love Atari, if you ever had a 2600 and you think that's still cool, you're going to love this thing. It's a retro dream, and the thing looks so sweet. As a mini PC, it's pretty middling, and the price tag is not too cheap either. If you want the all-in version, you're paying like $390. You can just get the console itself, no controllers, for $300, and that'll get you about the equivalent of a $300 gaming laptop, which, as you know, generally isn't going to run that many games. So I found that, in terms of like a mini PC, it's great if you're just doing basic stuff. But if you want to play like modern 3D Steam games and such, it's not quite there as a PC.
Have you tried to do any other like retro gaming on it?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
All?
I've got Stella, I've got MAME, all that kind of stuff on there. So
okay, yeah, that's. And
that
I would
rocks.
think that
It rocks.
That would run well.
It's got a super small form factor. It's really about maybe a 1 foot wide, an inch and a half. Like in this era of like PS5s and everything, it looks downright tiny in comparison. And it does pack a pretty good punch as a PC. You can just boot up Windows 10 on like an external hard drive or add your own internal hard drive. There's a space for an M2 drive and stuff on there. So you can actually kind of fiddle and tech it out really however you want to, and turn it into a pretty solid $500-$600 equivalent mini PC. But a $500-$600 equivalent mini PC is not going to run a lot of kind of modern end games. And in particularly as it relates to DDO, I have DDO running on it just fine, except there's some kind of weird hardware issue going on right now where just periodically it'll just crash to desktop just out of the middle of nowhere. And it's not just a DDO thing, because I'm running into it on like Rocket League and pretty much any of the more graphically modern, I guess we should say, non-retro, non-like indie kind of games.
Yeah. Okay.
It has a little bit of a crashing problem, which makes it pretty seriously not usable for DDO. But assuming they ever get that one taken care of or something, I was running DDO on ultra high. So, and it was running just fine, except for that one issue.
Going to say, except the little
for it
crash.
runs
That's
out of
awesome
memory
that
and
it
goes
actually
bloop.
runs.
That's what I think exactly is happening. I think it's somehow not managing memory right, and it just because it'll just sort of dump you out in the middle of whatever.
Well, that's awesome. You actually got it to run on there, though. That's amazingly awesome.
Yeah, it was sweet.
We currently have 16 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help support DDO players, you can go to the donations page. We can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money would be used for podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@ddoplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Ally, DDO Players at DDO Players, Dracula at Dracula_72, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, and you could follow Cordovan, where I presume at Standing Stone Games.
Yep, DDO.com is where you can find me. Twitter.com/DDO Unlimited for our Twitter. Facebook.com/DDO Unlimited. YouTube.com/Dungeons and Dragons. And on my personal side, YouTube.com/MockDuckPlaysGames if you want only non-DDO content from me.
Thank you. The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Locha Players News. You can support our shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And remember that DDO Players New Podcast is now found on Amazon Music and Audible. That is all for tonight, then. This is Pipe Needles reminding you to quest responsibly.
This episode of DDO Players News was brought to you by the Skull Splitter Dice Company at skullsplitterdice.com. Check out the new line of metal D100 dice. They are over a half pound each. You know you want a metal D100. You can get it now over at skullsplitterdice.com. Also, check out the premium mystery blind bags where you never know what you're going to get. So take a chance over at skullsplitterdice.com. And thank you once again to the fine folks over at Skull Splitter for bringing us DDO Players News.